Okay, guys, so we're back again modeling the legs. And to do so, I will start creating a cylinder. Now, I'm going to rotate this cylinder over the z-axis 90 degrees. And I can go here, rotate Z. And I'm going to type 90, so it's rotated 90 degrees. And I'm going to jump to my side view. And on the side view, I'm going to make it fit the cylinder that forms the leg. So around there, maybe. Yeah. So around there, I'm gonna follow all this curve that conforms the leg. I jump into my front view, and on the front view, I'm going to place this guy over here, around there. Yeah. Okay. Now, the next step is I have to select some faces here, and I'm going to delete them. I'm going to delete all these faces, so I can pull down. I can make an extrusion of this edge and also this edge, and make the sides of the leg in a straight manner. So I need to start selecting all these faces from this view. Control Shift and select the rest, and press delete. With that, if you go back and see and watch the perspective view, you can see that in the perspective, I just deleted those faces. And now I have this shape, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I will proceed selecting these edges. I right click, go into edge mode. I'm gonna press 4 here. And I'm going to select this edge, Control Shift, this edge, this edge, this edge, this one, and this one. Okay, so I end up with all the edges that conform the bottom of the cylinder selected, and I'm going to make an extrusion. So I'm gonna go here, edit mesh, extrude, inside the edge section, extrude, option box, and I'm going to make sure that I reset the settings and click extrude. Now, as you can see, before doing the extrusion, you'll see that my axes on the gizmo are following local coordinates. If I just pull down this axis, you see how I'm getting not quite the results I want. It's a bit messed up. That's because it's Maya, it's extruding the edges onto local coordinates. So each edge gets extruded in local coordinates. That's why it's all messy. I'm going to press Control Z here to undo this operation. And instead of just pulling it like that, I see that there's an icon, a small icon here with this in the form of a circle with a small line, kind of like input-output symbol on some electronic object. So I'm going to click this symbol over here. And now, as you can see, my coordinates change into global or world coordinates. And now if I pull down over the y-axis, my edges are pulling straight. That's exactly what I want. I'm going to jump into side view. And I'm going to pull this extrusion up to the bottom. I can still click, for example, the scale button over here, and I'm going to scale it down until it's completely straight. And then I'm going to continue pulling it down until it touches the bottom. Okay. If I click outside of it, I go back into object mode, go back into perspective view. I see that now I'm getting this shape, which resembles a bit more what is the leg of the Lego character. Okay. However, I still have this empty space or empty face in here. I have a hole in it. So what I need to do is, again, I'm going back into edge mode, and I'm gonna make sure that I'm selecting all these edges. I'm going to for view. I'm going to select this edge, Control Shift, this edge, this edge, this edge, this one, and this one. So basically, I have the bottom, all the bottom edges selected. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to the mesh menu and select an option called fill hole. I select that one and it creates a face that covers, it's covering the bottom of the leg. Still, this is not quite perfect. As you can see, there is a vertex in here and another vertex in here, these two. Having those two vertices is generating a six face polygon. One side, two sides, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I have to split this. I have to connect these two vertices somehow. I have to connect these two vertices. So I can, instead of having a one polygon with 6 sides, I'm going to have 2 polygons with 4 sides each. Okay. So I'm going to vertex mode, select this and this edge, and go to edit mesh. And there's an option called, a menu called connect components. I'm going to select option box, edit reset settings, and press connect. And now I have this edge connecting those two vertices. And at the same time, I have this face. If I go into face mode, I have one face here and I have one face here instead of just one face with 6 sides. All right. What else? I go back into object mode and let's see what we have. So we have the leg, but we still need the feet. Okay. So I'm going back into my my side view, and I'm going to go into interface mode, and I'm going to select with a marquee. I'm going to trace a marquee and select these faces. Okay. So basically, if I go into perspective view, I'm selecting all the sides of the cube. All right. So I have all the sides of the cube selected. And with that, I'm going back here and I'm going to make a cut with our cut tool. I'm going to make a straight cut over here. And then I'm going to extrude one of the faces, the face from the front. I'm going to extrude it and make the feet. So what I'm going to do here is first, I go into edit mesh. Let me see, it's mesh tools maybe. Yeah, mesh tools, cut faces tool, option box. And I'm going to here, click edit, reset settings, enter cut tool and close. And now before I do any cuts, remember this is kind of like a laser beam that's gonna cut everything selected, all these faces selected. So since I want a face that's completely straight over the horizontal axis, I'm going to press the shift key before clicking with the mouse. So I press shift, and then with the left mouse button, I'm going to click over here and move the mouse to the side, to the left or right. And you see, as you can see, by having the shift button pressed on the keyboard, all the cuts, whenever I move the mouse, they are snapping towards the angle. I want the angle to be 0 here. I want an horizontal cut. So I'm gonna let the shift key and left mouse button at the same time. I'm gonna let them go. Now I end up with a cut over here. I right click and go into object mode. And if I go here and see my model, you look how I still have the icon for the pass tool. So before clicking on the object, I'm gonna go here and press this icon over here, the selection button. So I select the select tool, I click over there, and then my mouse goes back into normal mode. If I select the object, you can see now that my cut made basically an edge, created an edge all around the leg. Okay, so now I can extrude this face to create the feet. That's what I'm going to do. I go into face mode, select only this face, and I'm gonna edit, mesh, edit mesh, extrude. Oh, extrude inside the face submenu, extrude, option box. So I select edit, reset settings, and hit extrude. I'm gonna go to the side view. I'm gonna jump into my side view, and I'm gonna make an extrusion over here, there. And I go back into object mode with my marquee menu, and basically that's the object I wanted to have. So up to now I have a leg here, but if I press number 3 on the keyboard, you see when I smoothed it out, it's not quite the shape I'm looking for. It's a bit too soft on the corner, so I have to make some additional edges, like in here or like in the head, to have these more obtuse edges, so I can have a more defined leg over here. So I'm going to select the leg, press 1 again, and to do so I have to first start selecting all the edges, all these edges, except I'm going to select all the edges from the front view. I'm going to right click, go into edge mode, and select everything, all the leg. And then after that, with the control key, I'm going to unselect almost all the edges of the circular part of the leg. See how I'm not touching this edge. This edge, I still have it selected. I'm just unselecting all these edges, but this one, which is the angle that connects the leg with the thigh, I'm still leaving that one. Okay. So if I jump here to my side view, notice how I have unselected all these edges except this, and I'm going to do the same for these edges as well. So to do so, I go into the side view, and again with control key, I'm going to unselect all these edges, and again I'm leaving this edge and also leaving this edge selected. I'm just unselecting all this in between the circumference, but this edge and this edge, also this edge and the edge on the back, need to be selected just like this. Okay, so basically I'm unselecting just the edges over the circumference here and the edges on the sides that correspond to those unselected edges. And with that, let me try a bevel operation. So I go into edit mesh, edge bevel, option box, edit, reset settings, and let's bevel this in. All right. So let me see how it looks like. I'm going to object mode, press 3, and it's almost there. It's not really it's still not the shape I'm looking for. So I mean, this area is nice. This area is really nice as I want, but I'm going to try to fix a little bit the width of this extrusion I made. Okay, of this bevel. So if you go here on the right, you see that there are inputs. On the inputs, I'm going to select the latest one, which is poly bevel 1, which is the poly bevel operation I just did, and I have some values over here. The one I'm going to modify is fraction. Fraction right now is 0.5. I'm going to type 0.2, and as you can see, the width of the bevel gets reduced. And that probably give me a bit more of a nicer edge over here, over the object. So it's still a bit rounded on the sides here. So I'll try to go and see what's happening here. I'll try to do some cleanup and see why is that what's causing that issue over here. So the first thing I see is that here are some, this face, for example, is a fifth side space. Okay, so if I go into edge mode, you can see it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 edges, and that's usually, this is what's causing the problem. Again, I have a three edge face here, a triangle, which is not so bad, but still it's quite not there what I want. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going back into object mode. I'm going to select the polybevel operation and see if I can get rid of it just like that. No, I'm deleting the object. So what I'm going to do here is probably let me see if there are another option that could help me a bit more in here. Okay, or I could just go in and start polishing the leg myself. I mean, it's not bad as it is right now. I could do some cleanup. Okay, we'll start by getting rid of this edge over here, this edge, and also this edge here. So I go into vertex mode. I'm going to select this vertex and this vertex as well. So go into 4. As you can see, here is my 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 vertices. So I'm going to select these two, and I'm gonna blend them. So I go to Edit Mesh, Merge Components, and select Option Box. And remember to set your threshold to 0.1 and click Merge. So now I just merge those two, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the other side of the leg. I'm going to select this vertex and this vertex, which are this and this. See, on the leg is this vertex and this vertex, and I'm going to press G on the keyboard. G basically repeats the last operation. The last operation I did was merge. So I'm merging those two. And let's see what happens here. Okay, so I'm losing a bit more of this edge, so it's not quite as I wanted. Another thing I could do here, let me see. Let me see what we can do here. Okay, let me trace. I'm going to go into vertex mode, select this vertex and this one. Select these two, and I'm going to connect them. So connect components, and now I have two triangles there. And I'm going to do the same on the other side of it. So I select this vertex, shift this vertex, connect components. And if I go into the side view, I'm going to make a marquee and select all these vertices. And first, I want to scale them up so all of them end up being at the same height. And then I'm going to bring them down with the move tool over here to make them more, just to get them a bit more straight, okay, from the side. I'm gonna press this one and see how it goes with that. Okay, it's still too messy. It's still too messy, so that's not helping me. And I think the problem here is basically this edge. Since it's just one edge, I need to split that one to make to have a border a bit more obtuse like this one. So what I'm going to do here is I'm gonna go into right click edge, select this edge, this one over here, and I'm going to edit mesh, or more like mesh tools, and select this option offset edge loop tool. Okay, and I select this edge again and see how this if I move the mouse from left to right, I have two more edges that will be created parallel to the edge I have selected. So I'm going to select these two. Again, in order to get rid of my cursor and go back into normal mode, I'm going to click here, this button, the selection tool, and I'm going to select this edge, and I'm going to pull it down up to there. Yeah. So now the distance between these two edges from the center one, it's almost the same. I have to select this one and also bring it in a little bit like this. It's not quite there yet, so maybe like that. Yeah, something like that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect. I'm going to do a fixing here in order to end up with faces with quads here, or polygons with 4 faces, with 4 sides. I'm going to get rid of this edge. I'm going to connect this vertex over here with this vertex over here. Same thing from this vertex with this one. So the first thing is I select this edge and press delete, select this one and press delete. And now I'm going into vertex mode. I'm going to select this edge, sorry, this vertex, this one as well. So I have these 2 vertices selected. And mesh tools, connect tool. So I have them connected. And now with the connect tool, you see I can click over this vertex here. No. Oops, I'm going to repeat the operation here. So it's select this vertex, this other one, press G, and I haven't connected. Then I go back into selection tool. I'm going to select this one, shift this one, and press G. And I'm going to repeat the operation on this side. So I go back here, select tool. I'm going to go into edge mode, select this edge, delete it, select this other edge and delete it. And now I go back into vertex mode and select this vertex and this vertex. All right. See how they're disconnected here? I'm going to select these 2 vertices, and I'm going to edit mesh, connect components, connect, and then I'm going to select this one, and press G on the keyboard, and they're connected. And now, as you can see, instead of a triangle, I have 2 faces with 4 sides each. So I'm going into object mode and see how it goes this time. Okay, now that's a better angle here. It has now a much better angle here. All right, as you can see, it's more precise this time. That's exactly what I wanted. The other thing I need to work a little bit more is these parts over here, these edges, and also the corners of the feet, because they need to be completely straight. Just something similar to this. So what I'm going to do here is, let's see. Okay, I'm going to get rid of all these faces. I'm going to face mode, and I'm gonna select here from the side. I'm going to select all the faces that conform the very edge of the shape, and I'm going to delete them. Okay, and then I go back into perspective view. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select all the edges. I go into edge mode, and I'm going to select all these edges over here. Kind of like this. and then control and trace another marquee to unselect these edges that are horizontal. So I end up only with these edges that are just basically the border of the hole, right? And I'm going here, edit mesh, mesh, and I'm going to fill the hole here, there, okay? So I have filled up. However, this is still a shape I probably don't want because it's a polygon with 8 sides. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, but at the same time I have these small edges on the corners. It's another 4, so it has 8. It has 8 faces on it. So I have to find a way to get rid of those. And let me go back into object mode and see how it goes right now. If I press 3, it's still round. But what I'm going to do first is I go from the side, go into my side view, select face. I'm going to select all these faces, and then I'm going to make another cut. I go here and select edit mesh, mesh tools, cut faces tool, and remember I have to press the shift key, and then I'm gonna click over here and move the mouse to the side. So I have a clean vertical line. I let go the shift and the mouse button, the left mouse button at the same time, and I have this. Okay, I'm going back into perspective mode, object mode, and see how it goes now. So it's clear now. You see that the edges are already looking better. Here, this edge at the bottom, it's more straight, not as rounded as it was before, but still I have this weird shape on this face, still an 8-side face. So I have to think about something here. I have to think, how am I going to fix that? And let me see. And one thing very simple to do would be to go into vertex mode, and I'm going to trace 2 sides, one from this vertex to this one. I'm going to connect these 2 vertices, this one over here and this one over here, and then I'm going to connect this one over here and this one over here, and I will end up with 3 faces that are 4 sides each. So I have this vertex selected, and this one I'm going to edit mesh, connect components, and it generates this edge. So now this face is 1, 2, 3, this is small one, 4 sides. So now it's a quad. Again, I'm going to select this vertex, this other vertex, and press G to repeat the operation. And I have in the middle, I have this one, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 sides, and this one is again 1, 2, 3, this small cut over here in the corner, and 4. So now I have 3 faces, 4 sides each. All right. I'm going to click here. I'm going to smooth this one out, and that's it. I think I can still make some fixes over here. You see these sides are not quite nice. So in order to fix that, I'm going to make another cut. I could leave it like that for now. I mean, this area of the leg is not going to have deformations on the rig we're going to make, so I could just leave it like that. But still, I'm going to continue just to make it a little bit more clean than it was before. So I'm going to select faces and select all these faces in the middle. I'm going to select all these faces over here, and I'm just going to make a cut over here in order to split a bit more the leg in much more parts. Okay, so I'm going to make a cut here in the middle. And with the faces selected, I go into mesh tools. No, sorry. It's, let me see. Oh yeah, mesh tools, cut faces tool. I'm sorry if I'm a little bit confused with the menus over here, but with each version of Maya, Autodesk have been changing these menus, and sometimes it's not easy to remember where each tool is on which menu right now, because between 2013, 2014, and 2015, all these menus are changing. So it's sometimes a bit confusing, but I mean, the name of the tool is the same. It's the cut faces tool, and it's usually between the mesh, edit mesh, and mesh tool. So you can only just click here and see where it is. That's exactly what I do. So sometimes I have to just review all these options and see where it is my tools and just use it. But so far, I'm sorry about it if you see that I'm doing that a lot. Like, okay, so it's almost there. I'm gonna press selected, press 3. Now, as you can see, I fixed these areas. It looks nicer. However, this deformation is caused because of this border over here. It seems that I might need to do another cut over here and connect the vertices. So that's what I'm going to do now. Although if I do that, I probably end up with a bunch of sides of extra or additional borders, and I'm not quite sure I want them there. Let me see. We could have another tutorial at just the very end of the series to make some cleanup of the whole character. For now, I'm gonna leave it like that. It's I would say it's for our purposes it's looking very good. So I'm not gonna clean up the character for now. I'm just gonna leave it like that. You know, probably I will optimize it a bit more. So when we come back to class, I will just bring a more polished leg. But for now, since I don't want to make this a tutorial, to turn this into a tutorial of 2 hours, just watching me cleaning stuff, I'm going to leave it like that. Oh, before I leave it like that, I'm going to select this object. And if I press W, as you can see, the pivot of the object is in the middle of the leg. I don't want it there. I want well, not now at least. I want this pivot to be at the center so I can copy this and mirror it and have the 2 legs here. Before doing so though, I'm remembering one thing here. I'm going to select shading. Oh, it's already wireframe shade. Okay. If you can see, let me see first. I'm going to bring the pivot to the center. How am I going to do that? I'm going to press the insert button on the keyboard. By doing so, notice how the center of the gizmo changed, and my arrows are not arrows anymore. They're just axes. The green one, which is Y, and the red one, which is X, on the front view. And the center turned into a circle or a yellow dot. I did this by pressing insert. If I press insert again, I go back into the regular gizmo tool. The regular gizmo tool moves the object, okay? And when I press insert and I go in this mode, what I'm moving instead, it's just a pivot, all right? So I'm moving the pivot. What difference this makes? Okay, let's see, I'm rotating the object. If I rotate the object, it rotates around, or from, in this case, it rotates from the pivot, okay? If I move the pivot over here, for example, and I rotate it, notice how it's not rotating as it was before, because now the pivot is here, okay? So it's important to be able to move the pivot. In this case, I'm going to bring the pivot to the center so I can mirror this piece and have a copy uh, an exact copy on the other side. But first, before copying it, I'm going to move the pivot. And if I want to make the pivot, if I want the pivot to snap to the origin, I'm going to press, I think it's X. While I press X on the keyboard, see how the square turns into a circle. And when I move it, it automatically snaps to the origin. Okay, I can't move it anymore. Well, if I move it, it will snap here on the other intersection of another unit, but I don't want it there. So I press X again and bring it back to the origin. If I go into perspective mode, okay, it's snapped at the center, but it's not yet snapped towards the origin. So I also need to do that from the side view. So I'm going to press X and I'm going to move this guy over here. See, so I press insert again, and now my pivot of the object is at the origin. I want it there. I want it at the origin, okay? So now I'm going to select my leg again, and I'm going here to the menu, edit, and I'm going to select duplicate special or Control-Shift-D. But before using the shortcut, I have to go into the option box, and I'm going to start by resetting the settings, and then I'm going to make a copy, but I'm going to scale the X-axis since I'm watching it from the front in this case. I'm gonna say the scale I want it to be -1. Oops, -1. So when it makes the copy would be mirrored on this side, on the left side. At the same time, I'm going to change the first option where it says geometry type copy. I want to make it, instead of copy, I want to make it an instance. What's an instance? It means that if after I do the mirroring, whenever I do a fix on this object, if I move a vertex or if I delete an edge or if I modify a face or do an extrusion or whatever I do on this object, it will automatically be done on the other object as well in a mirrored way. So that allows me to work only with half of the character and at the same time have all my modifications done on the other half of it. So with that, those values, I'm going to click duplicate special, and I see that it's not quite the result I want, so I'm going to do Control-C, Control-Z. I'm going back here into edit, duplicate special, and it seems that it's not -1 in X. It should be -1 in Y. Oops, -1 in Y, because it's over this axis, over this planar axis, the one which I want to use as duplicate. Okay, so my bad, but now it's fixed. Okay, so now I have the same leg mirrored on the other side, and both of them have their pivots at the origin, which is exactly what I want for now. We'll come back to this later, at a later time. When we want to move the leg from this pivot, we'll move the pivot again. But for now, I want it there. And I'm going to do another fix at the same time, okay? Before proceeding, notice how the leg of the character, it's a bit wider from the foot, but it's a bit tighter from the hip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten it up from the top and loosen it up a bit, or more like just leaving it as it is on the bottom. And instead of just start pulling vertices like crazy, trying to make this shape getting narrowed from the top, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the leg, and then I'm going to change from polygons into the animation menu. In animation, I'm going to select create deformers, and I'm going to select a lattice deformer. So I go into lattice option box, and I'm going to say, for now, I'm just going to edit reset settings and click create. Okay. And it's not quite what I want so far. Oops. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select here on the right side with the just after the operation. I see that I have some divisions in here. And right now it's telling me that there's 5 divisions along the T axis, which is kind of like the X axis. So here I'm going to select 0. So I have it like this, more like a square. It turns into 2. It seems that the smaller value is 2. So it's 2, 2, 2. Okay. Okay. I'm going to right click over the lattice, not over the object, not over the leg, but over the lattice. I'm going to right click and select lattice point. These points are like vertices, but these vertices or these lattice points are pertain to the lattice or the deformer, not to the leg. So what I'm going to do now from the front view is I'm going to marquee them, the upper ones, and I'm going to scale them down. And this automatically gives me the whole deformation for the whole leg. If you see, if I keep doing this, I'm making it narrower from the top instead of going and modifying each of the vertices. I'm just doing it from the top of the lattice points. And also at the same time, it's getting done on the other leg because it's not a copy, but an instance of this one. So that's important to make the copy with, or the mirroring operation with that instance. All right, so I'm just going to widen this up a bit and make it fit based on my reference. As you can see, it's a bit wider from the bottom and not so much from the top. Okay. Also, this part of the leg seems to be a little bit more widened up, but for now I'm just going to leave it like that. And what I'm going to do is now I'm going to select the object, and I have a bunch of commands here which are the history of this object. And the more commands I have, the heavier the scene becomes. So remember, I can get rid of all these things with going into edit and then delete all by type history. So by doing so, I get rid of the lattice and all the commands, and now I have a clean leg like this. I'm going to vertex mode, and I'm going to select all these vertices over here, and I'm just going to widen them up again to make them to leave them at the same distance. Yeah, at the same distance as the ones from the bottom, because the narrowing starts from here to the top, not from the very bottom. So it starts from here. So there, I just have to make sure that I'm doing this correctly. Oops, a little bit too much. Oh, it's not too precise. Oh, let me see. My pulse is not very good today. I don't know why. Oh, man. I hope you don't struggle too much with your pulse. But okay, anyway. Looks like it's almost there. So I go back into object mode, and that's it. That's it for the legs.